hit 1,000 subs. We're just over 1,000 now, so a huge thank you to everyone. This was not the time that I got you to vote on the poll for, but I was only given one time zone to work with anyway. So I've just decided to go live while I have the time to do so, which is between recording videos while my microphones charge. So I decided to come on here and talk about a topic. So just in case people didn't jump on, I had something to talk about. And I decided that a really good one to touch on today would be sort of feeling good and spiritual bypassing, because I think a lot of people get the two confused and tend to move into like spiritual bypassing territory when it comes to, particularly when I talk about my cheat codes, for example, where I say like doing feel good things and nervous system regulation. So I think that's really important to touch on. My hair is bothering me, so I think I'm going to tie it up. One sec. Uno momento, legends. Although there's no one on just yet. Let's see what we can do here with this mop. I did play touch yesterday, so it's a bit of a mess. Needs a bit of a shampoo. Okay, that I can live with. We're live. So yeah, a lot of people struggle with this, right? So when I'm talking about doing nervous system regulation work and feel good things, and even the self-concept work as far as treating yourself how you want to be treated, I'm not saying that you have to feel good all the time. I'm not saying that the only way to have a sustainable manifestation or end goal is to feel good all the time. I'm saying that if you're God, you're not worrying as much. You're not waiting around, right? You're still doing the things that enjoy yourself, like that you enjoy, that feel better to do now than potentially sitting in that anxiety and that checking mode where you're not really being the version of you who already has or knows that or has decided that they get to have what they want. What I don't want people to do is, because even doing things like nervous system regulation or feel good things can be used to suppress emotions and spiritually bypass. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about is, let's start with nervous system regulation work, right? Sometimes nervous system regulation work is not just doing breath work or tapping or whatever to get to feeling better right now. What can actually regulate your nervous system is allowing yourself to feel what's coming up for you. And a lot of the problems come with trying to stop yourself from feeling those things that are coming up. Anger usually comes as a secondary feeling to something else that you haven't let yourself feel or express. And when we're not expressing our emotions in a healthy way, like, and I mean, these things may sound a bit intense, screaming into a pillow, punching a punching bag at a gym or something, listening to an angry song that gets something out of your system. When we're not expressing our emotions in those ways and we're suppressing them using things like nervous system regulation work and feel good things, as far as my own cheat codes go, that is suppressing them. You may feel better in the moment, but those emotions are going to come back up at a time that is unfavorable. Hey, we've got people jumping on now, so I won't have to just think of something to talk about. But for those who have just jumped on, we're talking about the difference between feeling good and spiritual bypassing. So yeah, allowing those emotions in a healthy way to come up and be released and stop anchoring you to a story that doesn't serve you anymore is super important. Yay, thank you for liking. Don't forget to interact, guys, and if you feel comfortable to ask questions as well, I'm happy to do some question answering of questions. So the reason I decided to address this, and it was going to be an official YouTube video, which I think I've never done a YouTube live before, so hopefully I can save this and keep it on the channel. Otherwise, I will make a separate video to it, was because someone within the membership brought up that they were feeling some things, some anger was coming up, and they said, like, I did my nervous system regulation that normally makes me feel better, and I don't feel better. And I was like, that's because you shouldn't be doing the nervous system regulation work from that motivation. It should be like, it's not about stopping yourself from feeling something that's coming up that doesn't feel good. That's not what it's about. And that's why the magic of nervous system regulation work as one of my cheat codes. The magic of it is doing it between the moments you need it. Eventually it starts to become very natural and you find that you are just doing those things naturally. But somewhere along the way, we stopped trusting our natural drive to do those things. So when we think about like a child, right, when they're self-soothing, you'll often see them when they're crying and they're starting to calm down from, hey guys, Mina, hello. Hey, I was trying to read and say hey at the same time. Hey, super mystery man, how's it going? Children, when they're crying and they're starting to calm down from that heightened state, they'll do that, which is actually a physiological sigh, which is something we can do on purpose, right? But these things are built in that we start to, for some reason, which we don't need to delve into, forget to do or feel like we can't do or shouldn't do, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this client or member of the membership said that the nervous system regulation was working. I said, you let yourself feel this anger that you're feeling. Do those things. Scream into a pillow, punch a punching bag, punch your pillow, do some vigorous exercise, or, for me, I've got like go-to songs where when I'm like really pissed off, I'm just like, fuck this, I'm gonna listen to this song, just ugh. And she actually said, I shared that with her after she had, because we're going to delve further into it in the Q&A, which is the first Q&A of the month this week. I said, we can delve further into this, but in the meantime, because that was just a comment within the group, I said, in the meantime, let yourself feel what you're feeling, let that anger completely out. And then she said she felt better because she went for a ride and listened to some like music really loud in the car. And I said, hey, even if it means like listening to an angry song or something, I love a good like Linkin Park song for that. But then there's all those like, I don't fuck with you and all those kinds of songs as well, like depending on the scenario. I'll listen to a couple of those songs and then I'll just be like, while I'm listening to it, and then I'll be like, I feel better. For me, crying is something that I've not been, I think I touched on the video that I just recorded where the audio is probably going to be a bit fucked, which is the reason why I'm doing this live now, is because my microphone died. So just a warning, but I was talking on there about how I still have to let myself cry sometimes because I didn't for a long time. And when I know I'm not letting myself cry, usually I'm clenching my jaw and I start to feel like a bit tired in the jaw. And I'm like, okay, you just fucking cry. And if it doesn't come up naturally, I will watch something that evokes it, or I love EFT tapping for that. For some reason, that seems to just get it all out. And I feel completely better after I've done that. And then that's released and it's gone. And I know, and I have no fear that it's going to pop up sometime where it's not going to suit me. It's going, where it's not going to be self-sabotaging in some way. So, you probably have an idea of what spiritual bypassing is. So I'm not even really going to go into that. I'm just going to tell you how to make sure that the things that you're implementing as part of your practice of allowing and being and everything, how to stop that from becoming spiritual bypassing, which is to check in with yourself when you're doing it. Why am I doing this? Am I avoiding feeling what I'm feeling, like what's coming up for me right now? Because if I know who I am and I know that I can have whatever I want, why would I stop myself from feeling what's coming up for me right now? Is it because I'd be fearful of it affecting whether or not I get to have the experience that I want? So you can think negatively, you can feel negatively. All you really need to do in terms of experiencing your end goal in the most efficient, easy, enjoyable, and most importantly, sustainable way is to decide, okay, this is what I want, and so this is what I get to have, or this is who I am. And even if you don't believe it when you say it, just allowing yourself to get to that point for it to happen, allow it. Because did I say this in the video that I just recorded? I think I did, but I'm happy to repeat the story here. I won't go into detail, but there was an event coming up that I had been really looking forward to for a long time that I wasn't going to go to because I really was just I don't want to cross paths with someone that could potentially be at this event. So I almost didn't go to the event that I wanted to go to for a long time and wanted to enjoy because I was worried about crossing paths with someone. And then I checked in with myself. Who am I being right now? If I know that I get to have whatever I want, regardless of the 3D, regardless of that person who was someone that again, I'm not going to go into details, but regardless of any of those things, then what would I do right in this moment? I would follow the joy, which is the thing I'd been looking forward to and really wanted to do, and know that I will really enjoy in the moment. Why would I deprive myself of that? Because then that's not allowing myself to experience an aspect of something that I want in general, or a specific manifestation. And what ended up happening from allowing myself to go, are there any questions? No, people just popping in to say hello. Feel free to ask questions if you're on here. I'm happy to answer some, but if there aren't any that come through and I've finished my spiel, I'm going to jump off. What ended up happening when I checked in with myself, who am I being, decided to go anyway. I didn't end up crossing paths with that person, first of all, but if I had, I was like, it's not going to affect anything, whatever, I get what I want, I've decided. I made sure that I felt cool, calm, collected when I went, which I did. I played some hype-up songs on my way as well, but I didn't even end up crossing paths with that person. And then as a flow-on effect of doing that, following my joy, deciding my end goal and knowing that it is mine regardless of whether that person is there or not, there was a flow-on effect in the days following where other things fell into place with other manifestations as well. And that was not me looking for any evidence or anything like that. Those were things that I did not know would be connected to me going or not going to this event. I was just allowing myself to feel what came up, which meant that when I went there, I wasn't feeling anxious or concerned about seeing this person, which allowed me to enjoy what I wanted to enjoy instead of stopping myself from experiencing something I wanted to experience, and then had the flow-on effect of positively moving other things, other manifestations that I wanted in the right direction. We have a question. Robert, hello. Can you predict if a person will get a financial windfall? So predicting is really just choosing a reality from infinite realities, right? So like you can, but what you're really doing in that, like, first of all, a lot of people do pop on my lives thinking that I'm a psychic. I'm not. Psychic is just picking up one potentiality out of infinite potentialities. I have very good intuition. I always have. This channel actually started as a tarot card channel, but then I knew how much of a crutch tarot cards and getting tarot card readings and things like that had become for me when I did consider myself to be more woo-woo, and how much that pushed away the things I wanted, that I didn't feel right. Like even before I understood manifestation, it didn't feel right creating content around something that could become a crutch for someone else, if that makes sense. So then I learned when I came to understand manifestation that if you, like there were so many things, right, that I thought I'd predicted that I would have just created because I accepted those things. But all possibilities are there, and your role as the operant power in your experience is to decide what you get to experience, right? And to not even really focus on what you don't want to experience, just to decide what you get to experience. If you have a follow-up question, you're welcome to ask. So I'm almost at the end of my spiel regarding feeling good and spiritual bypassing. What else do I want to say about that? I think, yeah, when I'm talking about doing the cheat codes as my manifestation cheat codes, so for those who may be new, they are nervous system regulation work, feel-good things, and self-concept work. But I don't talk about self-concept work as in just like doing I am affirmations. I don't really even do affirmations, but it's more treating yourself how you want to be treated, right? The feeling good part is more of recognizing it's not about doing the things to get the things. It's not about bypassing the feelings that come up that don't feel the best. It's about remembering who you are, which is God, right? And knowing that if you like knew you were God, which you may not believe, and that's fine. If you don't believe it yet, you will. If you're not constantly, but like checking in with yourself when you go to do something that means a lot to you, which is a meaning you've assigned to something or a person or whatever, just checking in and saying like, who am I being right now? Does who I'm being right now line up with the version of me that has the thing, person, or situation that I want? And if it's a no, then don't do it. All right. It's not about doing the things to get the things. The cheat codes are not what are making your manifestation happen. They are just ways of allowing yourself to experience what you want. Because when you are in that anxious state, and I know there's coaches that talk about like, you don't have to do nervous system regulation work and you don't have to blah, 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 blah. You don't. But if you were God, which you are, and you knew that you got to just select an aspect of yourself to express because you are all things and all possibilities, and you knew that that was your power, would you be wallowing all the time? Would you be crying in the fetal position every night, thinking about how lonely you are? Would you be panicking about how much money you have in your bank account? No, you wouldn't. So how can you feel better than those things? Because those things clearly don't feel good. And then it's about choosing, like, what can I do now that feels better? Sometimes what feels better is allowing yourself to feel the emotions that are coming up instead of pushing them down, right? So releasing that anger, letting yourself cry, all those things. What have we got here? Some people do lean heavily into tarot cards. Yeah, I was guilty of that. But like very, very much so. It was a crutch. Like I even had a friend who had introduced me to, because when I was younger, I don't know if anyone, they probably still exist, but I don't really watch like free to air TV anymore. But there used to be those hotlines on really late in the weekends of like psychics and things like that. And I always was like, I loved watching them, but I was a kid or a teenager. So I've never actually had a credit card. I have a debit card, and you could probably use a debit card now, but back then it was credit cards. And I always found an interest in that. I was intrigued, but I never really wanted to just like trust that if I ever wanted to have a reading, that if it was someone that wasn't referred to me, essentially. And then I started working with a girl who I sort of was talking about woo-woo things to when I was a lot more woo-woo. And she was like, oh, I actually was going to see a psychic. And I didn't realize how like deep she was in it. But for her, it was, I would say like it was between a crutch and a bit of an addiction for me at a point. But like the reason I say between and not like purely an addiction was because I never like spent money I didn't have on it or anything like that. But I was checking in with psychics and tarot card readers a lot. And I learned how to read tarot cards and things like that myself. But she actually went into credit card debt. It was that bad for her. And that in and of itself kind of made me think, like when I wanted to make the tarot card channel and everything, it was like, oh, I don't really want to be creating something that could become like that for someone. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with manifestation, I'm definitely encouraging people to realize that things are not happening to them, it's coming from them, and that they have the power. It's not about control, but you have the power to choose, right? Control, it can happen via controlling things, but it's usually not going to be, it's either going to be exhausting or it's not going to be sustainable. And often that just means that people find it harder and harder to manifest those things, people or situations back in. And then they eventually just give up and decide that they can't have those things. And then they don't get to experience like the long lasting, sustainable versions of whatever it is they want. But when I came to finally understand manifestation, even though it was from a bit of a different place and I was still trying to control a lot more in those earlier days, I became more addicted to the control as opposed to checking in with a psychic or a tarot card reader all the time, or checking my cards myself. I even made a deck for myself and everything. And it became more like the addiction became more like choosing rather than checking, but then it was still coming from that place of control. And it was really after burning out from trying to control all the time, which is inevitably what's going to happen, that I just started to allow things to happen because I didn't have any gas left to constantly be controlling or trying to control. And that's how the cheat code, my cheat codes kind of developed. They started off as like, I'm burnt out. I still want what I want, but I'm just going to focus on myself for now. And these were the 3 things that I started doing just to feel better and become more regulated and less anxious and focus on myself more. And then I started seeing movement again. And I was like, oh, when I wasn't really actively trying to make anything happen, but I knew that that's what I still wanted and had still kind of decided that I could have those things. That's when I started to see movement. So yeah, next one. What's the first step towards manifesting? Deciding. Just deciding what you want and then going, okay, that's mine now. You don't have to believe it, but just going like, just if you can decide, and then anything that's happening, realize or think of it in a sense of your higher self, which is also you, but has a bird's eye view of the 3D. Hey, is it Tamerson or Tamar's or hello, welcome. Hello, Manny, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. It's deciding and then just realizing that your higher self, which is also you, but like an aspect of you that has a bird's eye view of everything is going, oh, that's what you've decided. Cool. Let me move the pieces around to make it the most efficient route. It's not going to look in every moment like it's going your way, but this is the quickest way to get you there. So trust. If you can just trust that, it's not about pretending that you're not experiencing or seeing or hearing what you are seeing, hearing, or experiencing, but it's about knowing that, okay, using logic as far as what the 3D world kind of, the illusion of the 3D world is that things work in a logical way, right? Which is why when you look back, it looks like it happened logically, because that's part of the game of life experience that we're having. But I know that like somehow, some way, this is part of getting me to what I want as far as the 3D in the most efficient route, because in the 3D, it looks linear, it feels linear, but in actual fact, everything's all happening at once. So yeah, deciding is the first step, and then allowing, which is basically what I just said, is the long way of explaining that, and trusting, which isn't the easiest thing to do. I don't want to say like, oh, if you can't just decide and trust, well, there's something wrong with you. Like I still have moments. Again, it's part of the human experience. You know, we are here to experience a lot of different emotions and a lot of different experiences, and across all people that could ever exist, and all times and all possibilities in every era and things like that, then source energy, that is all that we are also a fractal of, gets to experience everything with the separation that it has created to experience those things, if it makes sense. Because if everything's happening at once, you can't really experience all aspects of them properly, right? I'm trying to think of like an analogy to use. Like you can't, if you think of like every emotion on the spectrum of emotions, right? If they were all happening at once, how would you be able to recognize what emotion is what? You couldn't, right? So we experience things in our life to experience those different emotions, because source energy wants to experience those things. I hope that makes sense. If you have a follow-up question, you can ask, because sometimes I do go off on tangents and I'm like, did I get to the point I was trying to get to? Okay, what is this? What an educational system made us believe from a cursive language. I don't understand if that's a question or not. Hi, Ganu or Ganu, how's it going? Just quickly scrolling through to make sure I haven't missed any. Yeah, so I think I've pretty much covered the topic that I wanted to talk about on this. So this is the last call for questions. I do apologize. I do apologize for not jumping on at the time that I initially said I was going to in the community tab. Things kept coming up around midday for me, which was like 5 p.m. PST, I think, which was the only time zone anyone gave me in the community tab. So if you haven't already hit the notification bell, because I don't think you get all of my community posts with like the polls where you can have input on what videos I do and things like that, or see all my like just little motivational things that I post and everything. I think you miss those if you don't have notifications on. But yeah, if you want to, like if there is a future live, which I'll probably do in the next like milestone of subscribers, and you want to be able to put your time zone in so that I can try and work out a time that works best across most time zones for my followers, let me, yeah, like you want to do the bell thingy. And if you've come across this without being subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Subscribe. Okay, so before I jump off then, just with the last chance for anyone to jump in with a question, I will just remind everyone that I've opened the doors up for all tiers of the membership. So it used to just be the highest tier, which was the Cheat Code Academy, but I really felt like that was narrowing down all the people I could help. So there's now 2 lower tiers. One's just literally a subscription to all the content I create for the membership. And it includes the Reunited with Romantic SP workshop, the Find Your Feel Good workshop, the what other workshops ever made? All the workshops that are available outside of the membership are available on the lowest tier of the membership. What kind of questions are you asking about conscious manifestation, Ethan, from the perspective of the law of being, the law of allowing, if that's something that you're interested in? So why was I mentioning the membership? Oh yeah, well, just the membership's open. It was closed for a really long time and we had just a very, very small group within the Cheat Code Academy, and they really want more community. And I was like, I know, I want to open the doors for the second intake, but I'm torn about whether or not I want to create some lower tiers. So that I had to wait for that to open the doors for the Cheat Code Academy. So now the doors are open for all levels of the membership, and that'll be linked in the description somewhere on here. I've never done one of these lives before. All right. I think also, sorry, before I know I don't want to I hate going on and on about this thing that you have to buy. You don't have to buy anything to manifest. But as far as the membership, there are still some discount coupon codes for the highest level of the membership, which means you'd only be paying a little bit more than the people in the middle tier, but you get to ask questions, get a bunch of other bonuses, and get to attend any live events, the quarterly events that I'm going to start doing for the highest tier. You'll get to get involved with those. Irrelevant comment completely. If in the highest tier, you get to access those events for free. In the middle tier, you will get a 50% off discount code for any of those events if you want to join in, et cetera, et cetera. But the second intake coupon codes are still available for a few more people, to only pay a little bit more than the middle tier, but to get all the bonuses of the highest tier. All right, guys. I think I'm going to jump off now. Thanks for everyone who's jumped on. And again, I'm sorry that it wasn't at the time that I was expecting to or had said that I would in the community tab, but the next one I will definitely make work. It's just that I've had over 1,000 subs now for a bit, and I had said once we hit 1,000, I will jump on a live, and I had to get my act together and jump on here. All right. I keep thinking is there a sign off that I need to do or whatever? But no. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.